Aspera years ago developed a foolproof recipe for software asset management, and this is the famous Aspera A-Model. The A-Model is a perfect projection for the complexity of software asset management and helps you to find your way through this. On the left leg, you find processes around dealing with software information. On the right leg, you find all the processes dealing with license and contract related information. On the bottom level, there is the maturity level 1, where you just count the installs versus the licenses you acquired. But with the catalog in the middle, you can then reach maturity level number 2, so you normalize such inventories and you understand and you see the licensable product versus the technical product, and you see all licenses and contracts. Where you really want to go to is to maturity level number 3. And maturity level number 3 is that you do not only normalize your inventories and you can count and compare. No, you are able to take into consideration all product use rights, all metric information, and you can also consider all your infrastructure topology details, because then you can optimize your compliance reporting. So instead of just reporting on the status quo, the level of optimization allows you to say, no, on this actual environment, I wouldn't deploy a standard version because using the data center version is much cheaper. To install Oracle on this cluster, I should go with CPU-based licensing rather than named user plus licensing, because this is your best option. You optimize, you simulate, you do what if, and you create a better situation before you deploy and before you configure. And this is maturity level number 3. So back to the original original title of this webinar, which it deals with the integration of ITSM processes and SAM processes. I picked some of them, and the first example I would like to refer to is reharvesting of licenses. How can an ITSM process or multiple ITSM processes contribute to this software asset management process? When you look at this process design here at the bottom of the slide, you see a setup that works without reharvesting licenses, because there is operational and strategic procurement and contract management. This is where you buy software. That information sits in your procurement tools. It sits in your reseller and publisher reports. You would like to obtain that information. You would like to bring it in to populate your software inventory, your license inventory, and to see your effective license position. Doing reharvesting would mean that you link your software asset management your ITSM process for requesting software with this process, with this SAM process. So the request goes to the SAM tool, and in the SAM tool there are multiple pools following the accounting structure of your organization, and depending on where the request was created, then the SAM tool will automatically find out whether there is any license that could be reharvested. Once you reharvested the license, this could trigger your deployment mechanism. So actually SAM would trigger the deployment based on the decision, yes, we were able to reharvest software, we have the license, and now you can go on and distribute the software on the server or on the end user device. How can you do this? What are the directions on this? So the first element you need is you have to establish an uninstall policy. And that should be a very user-friendly uninstall policy. So I know organizations with an uninstall policy that is basically saying, every software that has not been used for 60 or 90 days will be removed automatically. But if the user once or the requester once went through all the process, like requesting technical approval, budget approval, and finally deployment, the user doesn't have to do that. The requester doesn't have to do that again. So if it was approved once, it will be there will be a fast track for the user to get the software back in case it was removed based on the uninstall policy. So that creates a higher acceptance amongst the users, and they will start to like the policy because they see it doesn't harm the way they are used to work with software and they are used to obtain software. Once you have that policy in place, the next step is to create the software or to implement the software metering. And there are many tools out there who can do software metering. SCCM is just one example of such a tool. And SCCM actually meters the active CPU time for a defined executable, and that data is then imported into software asset management. And so in the SAM tool, in Aspera's tool, that data then meets all the things I previously mentioned, like the data meets the catalog, becomes normalized. You see the licensable product, the metric will be applied. And based on this know-how, the SAM tool can then automatically generate a suggested uninstall list. And if you want to go one step further, you could configure the Aspera tool to automatically trigger your deployment technology to trigger the uninstall actions. If you then want to give positive feedback to your user community, you should also think about implementing a regular proactive reporting about the outcome of your initiative. And when we talk about outcome, there is one Aspera customer. It's a global sports brand using our tool for many years, and they have implemented a reharvesting strategy where they coupled an ITSM tool for the request part with the Aspera tool, and that was coupled with the deployment technology, taking into consideration SCCM metering data. So for a selected set of products, of client or of end user products, they are able to fulfill 80% of the incoming requests by reassigning, reharvesting existing licenses. And I hope you agree that this is a use case that that speaks for its own, that is very compelling and can create and show real hard savings which are probably more attractive to your CIO than any boring compliance report just showing over and under licensing. Okay, my second example, the second process I would like to talk about is how the change and problem management process of your ITSM tool can benefit from software asset management data, from data that is provided by the SAM tool. On the left side, you see the classic process design for a change and problem management process. It starts with a request, there is an approval, and then you have the purchase of the corresponding software. At one point in time, you will receive the licenses, you pay, you deploy. Once you deploy it, it is part of the incident and problem management process until the software is retired. Adding software asset management data to this process will give you the following advantages. The first advantage would be if you integrate the master catalog from Aspera, the SKU catalog that has all the product use rights, with your service catalog, because then every item that is requested based on the service catalog is already defined from a software asset management standpoint. All the data you need is there, and no one would ever be busy with finding out what SKU, what article, what license could match with the request that is based on the service catalog. So you do this upfront work. It is part of an implementation with Aspera where you correlate your service catalog and your SKU catalog. Once you have that in place, then with the approval step in your change process, you can automatically find out if there is any license in your inventory that would match the request. You can do an automated stock check. And once you purchased with your ITSM, did the purchase with your ITSM tool or with an ERP tool, this would flow back into your SAM tool and automatically populate your license inventory. When it comes to deployment, that data will go back from ITSM into the SAM tool. It will make the software inventory data more accurate and more complete, which then can be used from the incident and problem management process to have all the information on one screen. Maybe that's a good point in time to talk about the technical aspect of doing such type of integration. So imagine there is a service person, and the person had a screen, and it gets there is a problem reported or an incident, and a screen pops up where the person sees all the details of the user, the machine, and then you could probably have a real-time web service SOAP interface into your SAM tool, so all the software-related data would be displayed on this central screen without the necessity to punch out to another technology. So whether it's BMC or ServiceNow or CA or HP Service Manager, regardless of what technology you're using, there would be just one screen where the service person sees all the details, and some of the details would be transmitted real time from the SAM tool into the problem management. So what is the benefit of coupling the change and problem management ITSM-based process with your SAM process? Well, first and foremost, you have correct and complete hardware and software data at your fingertips. The SAM inventory data can be integrated via web services, as I explained before. So you can make real-time interfaces between ITSM and SAM, and which gives more accurate, more complete, and more up-to-date information to the person who is in need of that information. With integrating the SKU catalog and the service catalog, you can streamline your purchases, because when there is a request for a software in ITSM, the contractual dimension and the procurement dimension of this request is already covered by the SKU catalog of the SAM tool. You will implement automated stock checks, and they prevent you from wasteful spending. You are not overbuying any longer, because every request automatically checks if there is any software that can be reused. And so when you go out and buying, and your SAM tool, the Aspera SAM tool, would then also have the contract information in place, you could make sure that no one is doing a kind of maverick buying. So they go out for the cheapest price or for the reseller they like most, and they ignore the fact that there is already an enterprise type of agreement in place. And well, with the SAM data, the data about the software and the entitlements in your SAM tool, you can use the data then if you are in front of technology changes and application migrations, because then the SAM tool can give you all the reporting that shows you what software, what particular version has been deployed on what machine. So maybe there are 10,000 machines and you have one software deployed on those, but only 2,000 are under maintenance, 5,000 are not under maintenance. An ITSM tool wouldn't know about that. A SAM tool can tell you, so you can plan your application migrations more accurately.